Welcome, everyone, to Metal Gear University.
It is an honor.
A privilege.
What else can we say besides an honor and a privilege?
Honestly, we are grateful that one, you are listening, and two, that Metal Gear is back, baby.
I fucking...
Hello.
And no, you're not hallucinating. That was our very first intro that we played. Because it's our 1 year!
It's our 1 year anniversary. It's the first birthday. It's the anniversary. It's a celebration of how far we've come, because that little snippet was hard to hear.
I hated it. Okay.
You were like, oh, let's play it. Let's remind ourselves of where we came from. And then you were like, please turn this off.
Never play that for me ever again. It was like nails on a chalkboard. And to those who are out there listening, and it's like, oh no, Tom, it's not that bad. Look, I know my own voice, and I know when I'm nervous as shit. And I was so nervous.
You weren't the only one, because hearing the pauses back then, I could just tell I was trying to find the strength to continue.
I'll never forget editing the very first podcast that we did, because I feel like our voices are more attuned to speaking into a microphone. Back then, no. We clapped our lips so many times.
I don't know how we got rid of that.
I think we just fought through it. I think we're just like...
Because I don't think I'm doing anything differently physically.
No, you're not. But like it just stopped. I don't know how. By
the grace of God. But regardless, welcome. Thank you for listening. Happy 1 year to us. To you, if you are a bi-weekly listener, we are so grateful. Like we said in that first episode, we're grateful that you click play. And we're grateful that you're here now clicking play. A year later, 26 or so episodes later.
It's fantastic. Like, I can't believe that we're here. It's not that, like, I didn't think that this podcast would last a year. It's just that, not to sound like, oh, Tom feels bad about himself, but, like, I don't envision things that I do to last in the way that this has, you know?
This has been a positive experience.
It really has. And it not only just for, like, me and Kay and our own creative endeavors, but like meeting fans that we met through this thing, and every single stupid interaction on Twitter, meeting people at MGS Con, all of the emails that we got that we're gonna read later on, and it's just been such like a cool experience. And this kind of episode is just like a check-in, patting ourselves on the back a little bit.
A little State of the Union.
State of the Union. The union is strong. That said, this isn't like just like a bullshit ass episode. We're gonna talk about some cool stuff.
Yeah, there's gonna be no listener letters. I mean, there's not gonna be I'm already forgetting our style. No pop quiz. There's no pop quizzes. There's no breakdown. A general just check-in to say thank you for believing in us, listening to us, watching us. But it's a year later and we're still here. And it's all because we do it for the fun of the community, the fun of meeting people like you said, T, and the love of this series.
I had the thought of starting this podcast when the Master Collection was just announced, I believe. And I thought that it would be a really cool idea to get new fans that might have never really gave Metal Gear a shot before, to have something that's kind of like an entry-level podcast. Because, like, and not to throw shade at any Metal Gear podcast that is out there at all. They're all fantastic.
Yeah.
Top ones that come to mind, you have Johnny from Metal Gear Resurrections. You have the Kojima Frequency.
Metal Gear Mondays.
I think they're
done now. Yeah.
They're done, but, like, they're still there. You can give them a shot. Then there's fantastic YouTube creators like Luffy Webster. Fantastic content creators that talk about Metal Gear. But a thing that like I wanted to bring to the table is something that's newbie friendly.
Having people who are new to the series, maybe even younger, understand kind of how the world was when these games came out. For example, when you were talking about like the water theory with Vamp, or you were talking about all the forums and people trying to figure out stuff and like who's right, and like that whole experience of seeing it for the first time.
I remember back in the day, just like living in like internet forums. Like I used to I used to have one tab open on like the IGN forums. I had another tab open for like the Snake Soup forums. I had another tab open for Zogdog. And I would just bounce between all three and seeing what crazy theories people would come up with. It was such a cool time to be on the internet.
When looking at the data for our podcast and seeing the age ranges, it's cool to see. It's honestly an even breakdown, like 30, 30, 30. We'll have like 30% 18 to 24-year-olds. So people who were born after Metal Gear Solid 2 and people who didn't grow up with that experience. And then you have people, 30% are like in their 40s and up.
We had a very small demographic
in the 60s.
In the 60s. And I want to know who they are.
Who? Email us at itstkandm@gmail.com. That is itstkandm@gmail.com. Because we have a couple listeners. I'm like, who
are they?
Who are you? Let us know how you feel. But again, this podcast was for love of the game, intensive breakdowns, getting people caught up to speed. And I think with the Master Collection, our favorite thing is people having access to older games. And then Delta coming out, it's giving people who want maybe more updated game, giving them that kind of like opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also to the top of the timeline. So I think it was kind of a perfect little thing that Konami did. And we'll go into Konami as well and our thoughts, but Metal Gear fans were eating. And not just because of our podcast, but the Master Collection. We know Volume 2 is coming out soon. It has to. And then Delta. I mean, I think the part of this podcast to talk about like our love of the series. The Tokyo Game Show happened, about a week ago?
Yeah. I'd say like about a week and a half ago, yeah.
And we were given demos. We were given merch. We were given gameplay footage and interviews with developers about their goals to the series.
Stuff that I haven't seen in over 9 years.
You
or just about 10 years, yeah.
The hunger that people were displaying on social media and Reddit, like the amount of like thirst for Eva I've seen. Like the amount of people fiending.
Yeah.
The amount of fan art that I honestly, that week of the Tokyo Game Show, the fan art ramped up. People were like, we're back. It's, like you said, we haven't seen this in so many years.
I'm just excited that Metal Gear is becoming a presence again. And I'm hoping that this will open the door for more games in the future, whether they're remakes, which I'd rather they not go down, in my opinion. If they were, I would love them to remake Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. Those I think needed the most.
I think we were talking about this, what was it, yesterday? And we were talking how Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 could be done in the same vein as Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain.
Yeah. I really do think that they could pull that off. Because like the first Metal Gear is very basic. You could condense that into like an opening sequence. And then you can have Metal Gear 2 be the like main event, so to speak, you know? If it's like a remake thing, because like there's unfortunately a lot of people out there that don't give those games a chance just by how they look, and I wish I could change their minds, but if I could give them an easier pill to swallow, so to speak, I would like to have this as an option.
I think some people would be more privy to that if they were given the better graphical option first.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might be more inclined to play those early games, Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2, if they were given, the 3D version. They might be like, oh, let me see where it came from. Oh my God, it's so old. That kind of mentality. So I think giving players and people options, listening to the community.
That's a big one too.
I think that is what is most important for these companies. And I think Konami, I think any company, we should hold them to the fire. I think any company that wants our money, they should work for us. Work
for our money.
For our money. So, and I still think Konami, I don't share any, I'm not no shill for Konami. But I do think with Metal Gear and with Silent Hill, I think they do understand the tightrope they're walking.
Yeah, they like I I genuinely do think there has been some sort of cultural shift in that company. Now, that said, all is not forgiven. I still think about PT, and I still think about how everything went down between Kojima and Konami. And I don't know the details of what happened, but it left a lot of people with like a bad taste in their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really up to Konami to step up to the plate and make a good faith attempt at winning back people. And I feel like that Delta and Silent Hill is an earnest attempt. Now, whether in the long run they turn out to be good or not, that remains to be seen. But I feel, to me, maybe I'm naive, but I feel that they're attempting something in good faith.
And I think when we hear about these developers, for example, a lot of these interviews were both Bloober team for Silent Hill 2 remake, and then the developers for Metal Gear Solid Delta, you can hear both of them kind of go, we want you all to play this game. I know for some developers for Delta, they were talking about Kojima. If he would want to be involved, we'd love to work with him, or if he'd want to, maybe come back in some vein. I think that's kind of, they're not going to give an apology, but that's their kind of olive branch. Like, we're ready to bury the hatchet, please. Like,
yeah.
Forgive us. And I think with Bloober Team, with them specifically, I feel they know that their company's on the line for.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Bloober Team. The only thing I've ever heard of them is they've made a couple of games in the past that are fine, but like spotty. Like they're like kind of clunky in terms of like narrative, I hear. But from what I've been hearing from recent reviews, it seems that they locked in and they fucking did it.
And at time of recording right now, the game is out for early access. So there are people who are playing it. I've muted everything on Twitter, so we know we're familiar with the story, but we want to go in as...
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure that they changed things up in terms of, like, gameplay, and maybe they changed some cutscenes or something. So I want to go in with... I want to be as blind as possible going in.
Honestly, our hope with Konami, and I think with any other company, I want them to work for us. If I'm going to be buying games, if I'm going to be making this kind of content, or if we're going to be doing, putting our money there, you'd hope that they'd be listening and putting their effort into these games, and it's not just them clocking in. It's because we can go on a whole discussion on like the nostalgia part of like gaming or video games as an art form or remake culture. That's been a big discussion on Twitter.
Oh yeah, especially with Silent Hill just being released. A lot of the discourse is like we're being oversaturated with remakes.
I want effort to be put into games. I want developers to be respected, paid, and I want heads of corporations to understand the weight that some of these things hold. Like a favorite TV show, a favorite movie. It's a piece of art. It is a piece of work, and it can also be enjoyable, and it can also be fun.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully, like you were saying with Konami, there's kind of a culture shifting as far as like understanding how heavy or how strong this fandom is.
Yeah, I mean, I can only hope that whatever they do in the future, either in terms of Metal Gear, Silent Hill, hell, even other things like Castlevania or Contra or whatever, that they're given the same amount of care as they are putting into these remakes. Silent Hill F is one of the new ones that they're making, and I know that there's like a couple of other ones that they're doing, but F comes to mind. I hope that shapes up to be like a well-developed game. If it's anything like the Silent Hill 2 remake, it's looking up, and it's weird for me to say that, but what's this feeling? Is that hope? Am I feeling hope right now? Is that what that is?
I'm tired of just expecting the worst. I want to just hope for the best, see what happens. And right now, if we can talk on Delta, what we saw at Tokyo Game Show for a moment, It looked good.
Yeah, it actually looked really dope. Um, a playthrough I want to do. I want to make Dirty Snake. I want like to take a bath snake and play through. Like I want to make him as dirty as possible and play through the entire game. Like he needs to take a bath. I think that'd be so much fun. That's all I want to say.
That's all you have to say about the Tokyo Game Show?
No, um, it's shaping up to be like a really cool remake. My concern with how overpowered that the trank gun might be has been quelled a little bit because it seems that they kind of nerfed the distance that it travels. Like you have to like aim with like a more, I forget what kind of reticle it is, but like there's a more intense bullet drop with those things, and I hope that evens it out because I feel like crouch walking and trank gun combo would make people fly through it, and I don't want people to fly through it. I want people to take their time, you know, because they put a lot of work into this thing. I want to stop and smell the roses for a second, you know.
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of you listening, UT, you're gonna fly through this game. I think by nature of just this has been a game you've all been playing. This is second nature at this point, and I think you're gonna fly through it. But of course, I can imagine there's some surprises, and I can imagine there's a little bit more, maybe little AI improvements they've done.
From what I hear, they did change up the AI. And if anything, you know, not to sound like, oh, I'll just make the game harder for myself. Like, I'm sure I could just bump up the difficulty and things will be balanced out a little bit that way. So, you know.
From the demo, I mean, it looks like it plays as 5. It looks very. I see it and I feel Venom Snake. I feel the intensity. Every what is it, kick down of a soldier. Every kind of grab feels so aggressive and intense.
Yeah, the CQC animations look really good. They actually look really good.
And honestly, the character designs, they definitely adjusted the way the boss looks. 100%. They did that really quick because she looks so different from the initial trailer. And
definitely, yeah.
She looked great then, but she looks great now.
Yeah, I was in the camp of she looks fine, but she does look better now. I do concede. She does look a lot better now.
I think this game is going to make the story a lot more impactful for folks who, like you said, they need that graphical. They need the high graphics in order to connect with the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think with it looking realistic, the whole message of Metal Gear Solid 3 is really going to get across to them. And I mean, I don't think I stand by that. I don't think 3 needed to be remade, but now that it's here and it looks good, I'm okay with it. I'm happy with it.
Delta was first announced. Like it made my eyebrows raise a little bit. Like I was like, oh wow, they did it. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I saw that they were porting the original games, that's when I lost my shit.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's the real prize. You get preservation of all of these original games in an official capacity. And that is something that I really, really do hope that they do for Silent Hill. Because as cool as this remake seems to be,
mm-hmm.
I really do want to have something akin of the Master Collection for Silent Hill.
I think it's just like protection of these old games. It's going back to the roots of it. We have these remakes, but let's see where it started. Let's see the original team's intent and purpose. And
yeah, and I mean, not to sound corny, but like, you know, it's that artistic side, it's the historical side, and the fun side. Like I'm currently streaming the first Silent Hill on Twitch. It's my first time playing it.
You don't know anything.
I don't know shit, and I'm having a fucking blast. It's so much fun. It sucks that the only real way to like get this going for someone who doesn't have like a couple $100 to spend on a physical copy is to emulate it. That's a shame. Like I really do wish that they were outside of emulation and you could go out and buy it.
Like, it's a shame that the company doesn't respect it or preserve it itself.
Yeah. I mean, not to sidetrack here, but the Legacy of Kain, the Soul Reaver 1 and 2, that is getting a remaster. And that's fantastic. I love it and I can't wait to play it. But god damn it, why wasn't it already available? You know?
Not to bring them up, but what does Nintendo do? I mean, we can talk about the whole kind of like pay to play online aspect, membership, but you can play Mario Party 1 right now on the Switch and just boot it up with it's mapped to the current controller for the Switch, readily available. Not perfect. If you don't pay the service, you lose access to it. It's not yours.
Yeah,
outright.
it's like a Netflix subscription.
Kind of like a library, but it's there.
It's possible, yeah.
I think we really need to keep our foot on the necks of these companies. I really do think constructive complaining. I don't want to police how people complain, but I do think we can complain and also enjoy.
Yeah, because I've been noticing in discourse, I feel that like a lot of people, and this has been like the spirit of the podcast that like I've been trying to like really hammer home. But I feel like a lot of people out there are so used to feeling down on bad news. And they're so used to things being bad. And a game launches and it sucks. And it gets bad reviews. Or there's like a controversial thing here, controversial take here. And then we just forget what it's like to just have fun. And be hyped for something that you find enjoyment out of. And through this not to sound corny or whatever, but like through this podcast, I just want to try to bring a little bit of that culture back. Just trying to see something that's cool and just enjoying it.
And I think partly if we see something we don't like, we don't comment on it. Unless it's egregious or like super inflammatory, we're like, stop that.
Yeah.
But if we don't like something, I'll keep it to myself and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And that's just I feel like that's been our personal motto.
Life is too fucking short to complain about all the minute stuff that you don't like. I'd rather just be happy.
And this is coming from two people who used to complain for many years.
Oh my God, no.
We're the worst.
No.
We're the worst.
No, you don't want to know what I used to do. I was such a complainer. And I used to, man, I'm talking about myself here, so it's fine. I used to whine. I used to just be like, oh, I want this. I want that. This sucks. And I'm like, I don't know. I just woke up one day and I was just like, the fuck am I doing? I just want to be happy. Cue the Guts music.
Not Guts, not Berserk.
Like, I just want to be happy.
But if you're listening and you're listening through this tirade, we love you all. We appreciate you. We hope you're able to find joy in whatever. Life is difficult. We hope Metal Gear continues to bring that joy. We hope we continue giving Konami criticism when it's due, constructive feedback, and positivity when it's due. And to each other. A lot of you listening are artists. A lot of you listening are doing your own thing. And we're going to go into listener letters in just a moment. But keep being yourselves. Keep working hard. Create. Be artistic. That's one of the best things that came out of this podcast.
Yeah.
I've gotten back into writing the YouTube videos again because I've been, you go through your emotions. You go through your emotions and the motions. And sometimes you're up and sometimes you're really down. And you got to just do what you can to take care of yourself. Sometimes it means stepping away. Sometimes it means focusing, like keeping up with a schedule like this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said, we're just two randos. You're listening to this podcast and you're listening to this with the mentality of like, oh, these are two people that have an official podcast and I could never do what they do. You can. Okay? I am sitting in my pajamas just ranting into a mic, and anybody can do that. And if you don't want to do a podcast, that's fine. Everybody in the fucking mother has a podcast. But if there's a project,
we got a podcast.
Yeah, we bought.
We got a podcast.
But like, if there's a project you want to do, if there's like, if you want to go on that jog, if you want to do anything, just fucking go. Just do it.
Let us, and also send us stuff. We had a listener who's starting their own podcast. We have a listener who started streaming on Twitch. Try it. Failing sucks. Doing something and not feeling good about it sucks. Honestly, our first episode, don't go back to it, but I know probably some of you gotta go check it out. It's rough. But the thing is, if you like it enough, you keep trying.
Yeah, and your first attempt it's not going to be how it's like in your head. And that's okay. It's never going to be like that. The point is to do it again the next day and do it again and again. And eventually, maybe you'll get there.
And maybe one day you'll kind of like what you do, and that'll be good enough.
I feel like we're on like a soapbox right now.
I know. I just want people to be happy. I want people to be happy and have fun. And I want Metal Gear to continue bringing that joy that has brought us. I think we just feel so joyful because of this series. And so we're like, I feel like some Christmas cheer, like Metal Gear Solid cheer, we just want to bring it out.
We just want to bring it and just spread it all around.
Shall we just go into listener emails right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
If you've made it through the rant portion of our podcast episode, thank you very much. This is now where we discuss our listener emails.
A lot of you over the year has sent us emails from all around the world, from many different walks of life, different ages, genders,
countries. It's honestly been amazing to hear where everyone's coming from. I think what's been funny is that a common thread is people have been playing Metal Gear Solid since the blue demo disc.
I mean, that was a lot of people's awakening.
It's so cool to like read through a couple emails and like, yeah, the Pizza Hut demo disc.
That was a lot of people's awakening. You don't know.
Please continue to send any and all emails to itstkandm. That is itstkandm@gmail.com. We read through all of them and we'll be happy to share some of what you wrote. So on that note of people playing through the Pizza Hut demo disc, there was one person who emailed us about playing Metal Gear Solid 2 for the first time, and I think they just turned 18. Again, with all emails, if you want us to say your name, if you're comfortable with that, please put that in the email because we want you to feel comfortable. We want to be respectful. But this person said they just turned 18, and so hearing about the AI, hearing about all this kind of dystopian internet stuff, they were like, that's all I know.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's Tuesday.
They had referenced in their email that they don't know anything other than what that game kind of details. So it didn't hit as hard to them. And listening to our episode, they realized that for us back in the day, it was
like revolutionary. And that is both interesting and kind of concerning. I'm not going to lie. Because they left us with a quote here. They said, the dystopian world this game warns us about is the only world I've ever known. To me, all of it feels normal. And I'm like, fuck. Fuck, they won.
What I thought was also so interesting, and this is a whole other topic, but they mentioned in the email that they used ChatGPT to check the tone of the email to make sure it kind of hit all the points they wanted to. And in my head, I'm like, you can do that? I don't use ChatGPT in any aspect of work or personal life. So the fact of like someone could run, it seems like it could be useful in many aspects. I'm unaware of how much maybe the younger generation uses it.
Oh yeah, I'm aware that a lot of younger people use it as like to check for grammatical errors, and my therapist told me to run AI on my resume to add the keywords that AI uses to scan for resumes and shit. I'm like, damn, that's the world we live in now? That's crazy.
And it's interesting, right? Because I remember growing up, a big deal with like essays and work was you ran it through that computer program to make sure you didn't plagiarize. But now people are using, I sound like a boomer, but they're using the computer to make sure they're saying everything they want to in like a comment response or getting information. So for Metal Gear Solid 2 to be played nowadays for people who are younger and maybe the theme won't hit as hard, I think is so... I mean, it makes you think like, does the game is not as heavy. The message isn't as heavy because we're already in...
We're already in that world. But I guess the cool thing, if there could be a cool thing out of it, is that the world that Kojima was warning about, he was like about 20 years of like, guys, it's happening. Guys, wake up. And unfortunately, we're here.
That's part of the reason why people like Kojima, is that he was able to create these stories that were relevant.
Yeah.
For someone who's playing nowadays, if the story isn't as hard-hitting as it was to maybe you when you played it, they can understand the relevance and how maybe significant Kojima was to even think about that back before they were even born.
That's true. But I don't know. Dead internet theory. I'm a strong proponent. I'm a strong believer in it. And look, I sound like a weirdo on the street with the sign saying the end is near. The end's not near. But I strongly believe that in like 10 to 20 years, the internet as we know it will be a vastly different place.
I think that's why TikTok is so popular now, because it's actual videos of people and you can see them. And
Not for long. No.
Okay. Oh.
No. I've seen a clip of, there was a vlogger that was completely made from AI.
Did they look real?
No. But 10 years from now, the way AI is advancing on like a month-to-month basis, you're not going to tell. You're not going to know.
The listener who sent that in, save us. You are young.
You're not going to know what's real. And the only thing you'll know is real is what's outside. Go out, touch grass right now.
Touch grass before it becomes AI. Moving on, we have gotten amazing emails regarding different gameplay mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So not only people's thoughts on the games itself, how relevant it was, but for example, someone sent us a video of the the mocap of the guy doing the ocelot gun twirling from Metal Gear Solid 3. So people sent us that. People are sending us tips on, for example, in Metal Gear Solid 3, to get into the laboratory, to get, was it Sokolov?
Mm-hmm.
They were mentioning, for example, this was from Gray Fox Mando. Gray Fox Mando is a long-time Metal Gear fan. And they were saying, you can throw a python in a guard's face. Like you can throw stuff at guards. You can do this to get into the science lab. I think I like hearing stuff like that too, because I'm very scared when I play. So hearing different methods to do maybe the same task is always fun for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I always forget that I could weaponize the food in Metal Gear Solid 3. Like, I always knew it was there, but I always forget to do it, you know? Like, I know that you could throw, like, a python or, like, a tarantula at people to poison them. And that's fucking cool.
You can poison.
I believe you can. But I know that you could throw rotten food at them, and if they eat that, they get sick. It's so cool.
I mean, this game is just very detailed. And I'm hopeful that Delta will hold some of that, but also maybe add new stuff.
I hope so. I mean, like, I do like that it's a 1-to-1 remake. If I do have a critique, and I'll have to hold until I actually play it for myself, I do wish that they were a little bit more creative.
Well, you know what? That's your hope, since you don't know yet.
Yeah,
right?
I'm holding out that maybe they add more features or things that make an old fan like me go, huh, okay. But I'll hold it. I'll wait and see.
In that same vein of tips and tricks for different parts of the games, I think what's also cool is that we do also get emails from people who are knowledgeable in certain subjects. So, for example, we got an email from Kevin. And Kevin, thank you for this email. Kevin's very knowledgeable in military, and I would say maybe just like a history buff. Is that the correct phrase? A history buff?
Yeah, he's a military analyst, I suppose we could say. He would probably be really knowledgeable about the Roman Empire.
That's the Roman Empire. But Kevin, we took a little excerpt from his email. We wanted to read it because we thought it was interesting.
I thought that this part was really cool because, like, Kevin, thank you again for the email, by the way. He gave us like this really cool breakdown on like how, if the Virtuous mission was to actually go down in real life, on how it would go down. So I'll read what he wrote. They write, the feasibility for the Virtuous mission, by my thought process and calculation, brings it most likely a 6-person team and probably 24 hours.
Mm.
Also, most likely longer for infiltration. A halo jump into the unknown wooded area would not be feasible. Most likely, every jumper gets dead that way. Also, keep in mind that those timeframes are based on the understanding of today's tactics, equipment, close air, surveillance, sophisticated satellite imagery, top-of-the-line equipment for the operators. In Snake's day, the same amount of people with similar support available to him in 1965, that would likely be like a week's worth of work, if not more. And that doesn't include any kind of planning. From a budgetary standpoint, using today's inflation rate, this is like a multi-million-dollar op. And Snake fucked it up.
No wonder they wanted to kill him.
Like, Snake, you cost us $10 million. How dare you?
And I think that's what's funny about the older games of the series is that you see the mech. Like, for example, Sahelanthropus. To their credit, Sahelanthropus is inoperable.
Yeah.
But it's only inoperable because of, I would say, the cockpit being unable to be manned. And I mean, also, too, it was too heavy, right? It was like...
Yeah, they said they couldn't, like, balance it right.
But my man built it. Like, he built this giant mech.
I don't know. He was just stupid.
Also, too, my God, why am I forgetting the Metal Gear in 3?
Oh, it's... actually, it's not a Metal Gear.
Oh, sorry.
It's, the Shagohod.
The Shagohod.
Now, to 3's credit, I feel like if we were to build any of these mechs in real life, the Shagohod is probably the best bet.
Most realistic, but in now's time.
Yeah, and now's time. Now I have a lot of faith that we could probably build the Shagohod. I really do think we could do it if we just decided to dump all the money into it. Every other mech, I don't know. You know, it wouldn't be as cool, but maybe the Walker Gears.
Walker Gears I can see.
Maybe the Walker Gears we could do. But
Kevin, I appreciate that kind of information. Again, we do our research and we do try to take the time to really dig in. Recently we were doing a video on YouTube and we've been watching documentaries on D-Day just to get some...
a future YouTube thing that we're doing.
To have also other people bring in their expertise, their understanding, it kind of also adds more layers. So like you said, T, Snake failed a multi-million-dollar operation that from the get-go would not have worked, but like the fact that he failed it and knowing kind of all the logistics behind it, it kind of adds more weight to his story.
Yeah. And honestly, like your knowledge on these like military analysis stuff, I love it because I know that when I make these long tirades about all of that tech that seemed fantastical, I know you like that. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for you, Kevin. You and me, buddy.
So thank you so much for sending that in. And I really do appreciate I appreciate people's history, people's knowledge of the series, and also knowledge of kind of the history behind a lot of the events in this game. I think what's also been cool is that we've actually gotten suggestions for future episodes. Mm-hmm. So again, we do our 201 episodes, and that's kind of for older fans, so really more in-depth analysis.
Yeah, something a little more nuanced.
We're going to these episodes with the understanding that you know the series. And so people, for example, gave us suggestions. So for example, we had an email from, how would I even pronounce that? CIA WD Wolf. If I mispronounced it, I am so sorry. They had reached out and stated that we should rate the main themes of each game. We should discuss codec conversations or our favorite ones. I honestly like those first two, but I really do like this one where they said we should explain the Patriots timeline. I do like that a lot. Because in my search on YouTube, I think, people talk about the Patriots, people go down, but I think we can really go into the nitty gritty and we can toe the line of also making our own canon. But I think that'd be fun. I think people would be interested in hearing that. Yeah, and like a more or less a straight A to B, what exactly the Patriots were doing in each given title. Yeah. Because, the Patriots in Metal Gear is like this organization that is so convoluted and so shadowy. It's almost like an invisible boogeyman, Half the time they're dead, half the time they're not, half the time... They're computers. Or they're the parents of our favorite characters. I think it'd be cool to break it down, and I think a 201 would be a perfect... We really have to be very specific because I think as complicated as these games are, I think we really have to break it down slowly. Yeah. I think also what was cool is that people have asked us to do I guess I would call them the non-canon games. Oh, Acid, I guess Revengeance would count as well.
Yeah, Acid Revengeance. There's Snake's Revenge.
Ghost Babble. And I think we would do it. I'm so happy to do that. I've never played those.
And maybe we could even touch on Twin Snakes. I mean, that's still Metal Gear Solid, but it's a different experience.
We can have 201 where we compare what worked and what didn't work.
We compare and contrast.
Because they also changed some of the voice actors.
They did. They changed some of the voice actors. They changed some of the direction, the music, and my main criticisms with Twin Snakes comes from the choreography of the cutscenes and the choices in music that they did. But still a very solid game. So we'll discuss it.
Yeah, and we definitely will. I mean, not to jump. I'll talk about it in a few moments. What I wanted to say. Separately, I also did want to say we received a lot of emails of people being nice, thanking us for this podcast. Again, a lot of people were talking about listening to this on their commutes. Somebody moved cross country and listened to us the whole way. Thank you so much. And also, when we did our April Fool's episode, where we did a Splinter Cell episode, we had a couple of emails of people going like, "Are you guys good? Like, are you guys getting bullied?"
Yeah, we had one listener reach out to us and say like, "Hey, whatever's happening, don't let those people get you down." And then we shortly got an email after going like, "I just realized it was April 1st, my bad."
But I love that. Like, please continue sending stuff like that. I love first reactions. And this being a community of Metal Gear fans, let us know when you think you have a different opinion, when you think no one's wrong. So when you have a different opinion, we can discuss it. Or if you have your own headcanon that counters what we do.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. Like hearing people's headcanons, it's something that like I always find interesting.
Yeah, we actually got a headcanon about Big Boss. So, for example, someone's headcanon is that Big Boss was found, or I guess like Naked Snake was found in a battlefield by the boss.
Mm-hmm.
So this person's theory is that maybe Naked Snake was this little Polish boy in the middle of war, and the boss like found him and just kind of took him in, and she raised him as her own,
mm-hmm.
put him in the system and put him through the military, and that was her son.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought that considering the military is all that she knew, she put him in the same situation that she grew up in. And so that's why he's such an amazing soldier, because she's kind of, I don't want to say groomed him, but kind of raised him in that environment.
And I guess it could repeat in the way that how Big Boss treats children in his own right. I mean, he does it in a more, I'd say like malicious way, but it does mirror that.
I mean, Metal Gear 2, I guess Metal Gear 2 specifically, because that's Big Boss. I mean, anyway, but all the kids there, he's going to feed them back into the war machine.
Yeah.
And why? Maybe he thought that was okay.
Because in his mind, I came out fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he did not come out fine, but he thought he did. So he genuinely thinks I'm helping these kids.
Theories like that, I think, are so interesting because it could work. We have no idea about Naked Snake's upbringing.
Yeah, he's a blank slate. There are very few things we know about him pre-3.
And I think with there's been quite a bit of retconning by Kojima and the team, so a lot of these things fit. One of my besties, one of my favorite artists, Survivor T-Type on Twitter, they have their own headcanon about Gray Fox. And they've spoken about it so much that every time I hear him talk about Gray Fox, I'm like, that's canon. That might as well be canon now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think stuff like that adds a kind of a new breath of air into characters. It sometimes helps understand where they're coming from and their actions. And I think it's just cool. Like it's like fan fiction. You have to fill in the gaps sometimes, some way, and sometimes it really does work.
Yeah, I mean, can I share a headcanon that I have?
Of course.
Okay, so you know how like a lot of people have a criticism of like Peace Walker in 5, that the technology that they use is like super advanced. It doesn't match the time period, and it doesn't match what we see in previous games that take place in the future. So people are like, if the games that take place in the future, why does it have shittier tech than what they had in like the 70s and 80s? It doesn't make any sense. And I have a headcanon. Okay. The reason that is because in Peace Walker in 5, we're playing as Big Boss and Venom Snake, respectively, and they exist outside of the domain of the Patriots. In Metal Gear Solid 2, it stated that the Patriots police scientific theories and how technology is released to the public, right? So people who exist within that bubble are given almost like a diet version of what is actually possible. And people who exist outside of the Patriots' domain have access to higher tech because they're not being policed. You know what I mean?
This is some big brain stuff right now. That's some big brain thinking.
So like all of the tech that you're seeing in Metal Gear through Metal Gear Solid 4 is tech that's been
something like it's been given to you by
the Patriots themselves. But Venom Snake and Big Boss, they could do whatever the hell they want. They're not in the system.
See,
big brain on time.
And it works. It makes sense. I mean, it kind of bridges that gap of like why the big difference in tech.
Mm-hmm.
We want to hear more. Let us know what you think.
And it also coincides how Big Boss and Venom Snake could have in one hand a holographic iDroid, and then in the other hand have a cassette player, because they both can exist at the same time, because one is a piece of Patriot technology that is deemed worthy, and then the other one is technology that was developed outside.
This is what this series is about.
Do I have too much time on my hands? Probably.
But this is what we want to hear. And as we go through the games in the upcoming years, as we continue on this podcast, we want to hear more. We want to hear all the stuff you're doing, all your headcanons. We want to see all the fan art. We want to hear your podcast. Let us know. T.
Yes.
As we're coming to a close of this episode, shall we talk real briefly about our favorite podcast moments and then maybe our goals for the future?
Yeah, okay.
So to be as professional as possible, Tom and I wrote down some of our favorite moments of the past year and our past episodes. One email we got that I really, really loved that made me feel very happy with what we're doing here. It was an email during our Metal Gear Solid 2 discussion. And in one of the episodes, we were kind of expressing Otacon's past trauma, the abuse he suffered at the hands of his stepmother and his father. Someone emailed that due to our discussion and our kind of going into the abuse that Otacon suffered, they were able to view Otacon in a different light. Mm-hmm. They maybe remember that point, remembered it was sad, but they didn't realize just how bad Otacon was hurt.
Yeah, he had it rough, man.
And I think it's a larger conversation of like gender in society, is a larger conversation on how we treat abuse for young boys and young girls. And we won't go into that right now. But I was happy that someone wrote in and said, look, like that actually was helpful. And so thank you for writing that in. And I hope we continue to be a place to really kind of break down and talk about some serious topics. Because this game does, this not even this game, the series really touches on a lot of heavy things. Some things that I don't like. Some things that I thought could have been handled better. But it opens the line of communication for all of us to digest it. There's things in 5 that really hurt me. That really hurt me. There's things in 4 we can talk about. I mean, a big thing that people say, criticism, is like the sexualization of women in this series.
Yeah.
And I think we can all just talk about it and talk about how it affects us. So emails like that really are close to my heart because I think we can have those conversations in a series we love.
Yeah.
On a lighter note.
On a lighter note, we had an email from people thinking if Solidus was either a Republican or a Democrat.
Like really questioning in our emails.
And I really tried to ponder because there's really no way to tell one way or the other. I like he's waving the Sons of Liberty flag, and it has that "Don't Tread on Me" snake on it, and I know that the Republicans love that, but you can't really pin him down on that. So I thought maybe, okay, hear me out.
Yeah, this is Tom's canon.
This is my canon. I don't know if it means anything, but his katanas are called Republican and Democrat respectively, right? I know it's stupid, but that's what it is. Now, if we could find out if Solidus is left or right-handed, you could assume that his dominant hand would reach for the party that he affiliated more.
That's a big assumption.
It's a big assumption, but I got nothing else to work with here.
You're going like some subconscious choice to pick the one that he aligns with.
I'm grasping for straws. I don't know, but if there's a way to like visually see which katana is which, then maybe we can get to the bottom of it.
See, my theory is that he was a representative of the president at the time, and at the time we had a Republican president. So I'm thinking he's Republican by nature. And this was it's Solidus. Solidus gives off big Republican, don't tread on me, libertarian type.
But does he? Because hear me out. Maybe that's who he is as Solidus. But him as George Sears could be a completely different thing.
Oh, but are we talking about if Solidus was a Republican or Democrat?
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm
We're
saying
getting in the weeds.
I'm getting in the weeds here, but I'm just thinking like Solidus Snake. Maybe he gives off more Republican energy, but like, what if when he was working within the system, when he was President George Sears, maybe the Patriots told him to act a certain way.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, but like maybe in his heart of hearts he was a Republican, but the Patriots told him to be a Democrat.
I know, but we're talking about Solidus though.
I'm getting in the weeds here. My brain hurts.
Great emails, though. I love this. This is the kind of discussions we want. Other favorite podcast moments. One of my favorites is that people think T's voice is AI sometimes.
It's mainly in the YouTube videos.
But sometimes we'll get it. Well, we've gotten a few early on, but they'll be like, why does this guy sound like David Hayter? Like, you got like a young David Hayter voice, which is...
I don't hear it.
I'm telling you, my theory is that since these games raised you literally, your voice as you grew just melded into a mix of Solid Snake and whatever your voice was supposed to be.
I don't know, maybe. I just...
That sounded like...
No.
That's my canon for this real life person sitting next to me.
Thanks.
Anything else that you liked from our past year?
Yeah. I really liked our Trial of Big Boss,
yes.
Particularly the episode where we had our jury deliberation, where it was me, you, Luffy, and Johnny just kind of going back and forth. It was something that like was really outside of our formula, but I just loved that discussion. And it's an episode that if I were to listen to one again, it would be that one.
It was cool to have other people on. It was cool that they played along. I think we couldn't have asked for better guests.
I loved both of them for agreeing to be on it. They were such cool people. Once again, Johnny, Metal Gear Resurrections, Luffy Webster
on YouTube.
Fantastic Metal Gear creators. Check them out. They're fantastic.
Yeah,
and thank you for being a part of our silly little podcast.
Honestly, I mean, on that note, meeting people because of the podcast, that's been one of our favorite moments. We've met so many amazing artists, all the people writing in. We've met some of you at Metal Gear Solid Con. A lot of you see me thirst for cause on Twitter. Like, I really appreciate it. And I think too, kind of what you were saying in the beginning of this episode, us making this podcast, we've become more creative just by nature.
Yeah. I feel like just me editing this podcast, me editing these YouTube videos has opened up a new realm of creativity for me. I'm even thinking of dabbling into voice work. I know I don't have the whatchamacallit, the equipment per se to do that at the moment, but like, you know, like the fact that I'm even thinking about it at all, it wouldn't. It's because of this podcast. It's because of just, man. I don't know. I'm just very grateful, guys.
Yeah, you got T over here all bashful for our 1 year. Aww.
I don't know. I'm really grateful, and I don't take any of it for granted, and I can only hope that people out there do what you love to do, because it's really cool, you know, doing what you like, you know.
Take a chance
On something.
I mean, on that, I feel us winding down. I think we should move towards ending this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And T, I'd like to end this episode. What are your goals for the next year? What are some things you hope for ourselves, for the Metal Gear Solid series, for others? What are some goals you have?
Well, let's see. I wouldn't mind talking about Metal Gear in a convention setting. Now this isn't me going like MGS Con. I'm not trying to muscle my way in at all. I'm honestly, I was also thinking like the retro games convention in Long Island.
Yes.
Like talking about like
yes.
the megalopolis.
Sorry, it's not mine.
Oh no, it's fine. But like, I don't know, being in smaller conventions just in general just really ignited something in me that larger conventions did not. And I don't know, I just want to be part of it, you know?
I like that. I just want to be part of it.
I like it.
I like that.
Like, it's just like a love that people have. And just seeing everybody come together for something that they hold dear is something that like I want to do it too.
In that vein, I'd love to do like a trivia contest or trivia panel. I think something that's interactive, I think is fun to me. So I would jump off of that too. That's a goal I have as well. Whatever it may be. So that's one of your, you know, we share that goal. I think I would like to have more episodes where we bring people on. I cannot say that we're going to be an interview type podcast. I don't enjoy that. I'm going to be honest. I enjoy people, but I don't think I'm a good interviewer. I talk too much. So I would like to bring people on to discuss. So in the same vein of like the trial of Big Boss, we do have an idea for a future episode. Should we say it?
Yeah.
So I think when Delta comes out, it would be super, super cool to have maybe like 3 or 4 episodes, maybe 2. Who knows? But one episode, we can sit with somebody who is playing Metal Gear Solid for the first time through Delta.
And like what their viewpoint is. Because, I mean, at least from our standpoint and from like a lot of people who are listening, we have no idea what that is.
What does that even mean?
So like, I'm just super curious to hear someone's perspective.
And on the flip side, speak with someone else like us who Delta is just another one of the games of the series, and, you know, coming in with that context of like, this is a remake of a pretty great game.
And then potentially have those two parties meet and discuss the game. I think that's like that could open up the door to like a really cool discussion on, I mean, what we were talking about earlier with like remake culture and how people perceive games that are remade after like 20 years or something. Like, I think that's really cool, you know?
For us here who are longtime fans, it is kind of an echo chamber at times. We can try to be as unbiased and open as possible, but it's hard to step outside of it. And I think having someone on and seeing it from their point of view, it would introduce a new perspective that maybe we are missing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that I would love to have. That's one kind of roundtable discussion or episode where we include somebody in. I think that would be cool. What else? What other goals? What other
something that I wrote down. Now this sounds a little vain, but I would like our follower count to go up.
Hey, speak on it. Hey.
Cuz okay. Not to sound like one of those guys that go, please like and subscribe and go to the Patreon. But like, I don't know. Like, my monkey brain likes it when numbers go up.
The reptile brain, right?
My reptile brain, the monkey brain, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like,
I mean, we work hard, and I think specifically, I would like for more people to watch our YouTube videos.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into that shit.
We put work into it, but I think the YouTube content is new. It's more of a deeper analysis because we're able to kind of break it down more there. I would like for that to go up. But if you work hard, it's okay to want to see benefits of that. I think that's okay.
I guess I'm not used to taking pride in stuff that I do. This sounds really sad, but I don't know. Like
it's okay to want recognition. It's okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
How are you avoiding eye contact with me? I'm sitting next to you.
I don't know. Okay, let's just move on.
No, it's okay to want recognition, and it's okay for you to you want to see the podcast and the YouTube grow.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you, and I think that's okay. That's a goal.
Okay.
It's so hard for you to say. Any other goals you have that are less about you?
Let's see. Oh, we had a thought of maybe making like an end of year exam.
Would you all like that? Yes.
Right? Like okay. I had a thought. I don't know if it would be feasible, but like something like this. Like we just make an episode where we have like a quiz that encompasses the entire Metal Gear series, and we just quiz you on your knowledge. Or
we can do one from all the episodes we've done so far.
Yeah, just something like that.
A nice year-end pop quiz, a final exam.
The final exam.
Final exam. That would be pretty cool. And I think it would also kind of like tie in with like, usually a year-end podcast, you talk about stuff, but we're kind of doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. What else? I mean, I think overall, we want to meet more people. We want to meet people at conventions. Metal Gear Solid Con 3, we know what's coming. They killed Metal Gear Solid Con 2. So we know the third convention's coming. We want to meet more people. We've met such amazing artists. I want to buy more merch. I want to talk more with people, and I can't wait to talk in person about Delta with people. And I can't wait to see cosplays. We're social. We want to hang out more with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes all this feel real than just us in these four walls.
Yeah. For me personally, seeing people who listen to our podcast in real life was very interesting. It really brought to life that like, wow, we put stuff out there and people like receive it,
I cannot begin to explain to you. I don't mean to put you on the spot. T is so bashful right now.
I'm very bashful. No, I remember. No, there was this one part, and like I hate, man, Johnny. I know you're listening, and I'm like, God damn you for doing that. Johnny was like, Tom, why don't you go over there? Because like Kojima Frequency had like a booth, right? And I was in line to do the
voiceover.
The voiceover. And he was like, give him like a sticker and try to network. And I was like, Johnny, no, I don't want to do that, man. And Johnny takes like 5 stickers or something out of my hand, and he's like, I'll do it. And then he goes over there and he networks for me. I'm like, God damn it, Johnny, no!
But mind you, you'd do the same for somebody else.
I would do it in a heartbeat. And I don't know. I guess I got to put myself out there more. It's just that like, I don't know.
And mind you, Tom is preaching in the beginning. Do what you want. Do what you like.
Look.
But then when it comes to you.
Look, I talk about this with my therapist a lot, okay? That I give good advice, but I never follow through it for myself. And I'm working on that. I realize it's a problem, okay? But God damn it. It's a problem.
I guess a great goal, keep is going.
Yeah.
It's getting you more creative. It's getting you more out there. And you're meeting people who want to support you the way you support them.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's only year 1. Who's to know how much longer we can talk about Metal Gear? But with this kind of series, I mean, there is a sort of finality that we can expect. And when that ends, like, what do we do from there? I mean, I think we have another year or 2 in us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long this would go on for, because like this specific kind of podcast, this is like encompassing all of the games, all of the canon, non-canon games, and then after that there's only so many 201s you can make.
Yeah, and then like 201s that are different from our analysis videos on YouTube.
So I'm sure that in time we'll know what to do, but I'm thinking as of right now, I'm sure if there's like a 201 that we think that people might want to hear, we could just add it congruent. What's the word?
I don't know.
You know what? We could just add it as the ideas pop up in our head. And
so it won't be in the future.
Bi-weekly thing. Yeah. It's just more of like this will be a fun topic. But I don't know. Maybe we'll just have more of like a general podcast talking about maybe like video games in general, pop culture. I don't know. To those people with heads on fire, going like Metal Gear University is coming to an end. That's not going to happen anytime soon. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, we have so much more stuff to talk about. And I mean, as podcast bros over here, we're just thinking about the future, and we know that eventually we're gonna run out of things to talk about with Metal Gear. And again, we're not like doing interviews, so it's like we can't bring people on.
Yeah, this is more like a lore podcast, and there's only so much lore you could talk about, especially like in the way that we're doing it. But you know, we'll get to that bridge when we come to it.
With that being said, I mean, I think this is it. I mean, this was a rambling episode. I appreciate everybody for listening. Just thank you for 1 year of Metal Gear University. We will continue with the 101 episodes. We got so many more games to talk about, so many more. And we got a lot of 201 ideas. But to everyone who wrote in, thank you so much. Again, it makes this feel real. I see number go up, but when I see email come in and words on screen,
that hits even harder.
It makes me, I know it's not Tom sending fake emails through fake email addresses. I know it's not him. So it's like, wow, these are actual people who exist out there listening. And I appreciate it. It's, you know, there's so many things I want to say. Just like being a woman in the space, all of you listening to me, I'm thinking about all the little geeky stuff as a kid, all the stuff I experienced, and it's cool that everyone is just very friendly from the get-go. So thank you all for listening. I look forward to meeting you all in person next summer for Metal Gear Solid Con, hopefully. Maybe we'll have merch. Maybe maybe who knows what we'll do, but I'm just hopeful that we'll continue creating fun stuff for all of you.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks with how Snake infiltrates that lab. I'm sure he'll be okay.
I think he'll be fine.
But thank you all for being here. Happy 1 year.
Happy 1 year.
To many more.
To many more. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.